Hey guys, what's up? Kris Krohn here, and today we're talking about customer service. And right now, every company that has clients is going to have customer service issues. And there's one that I've learned in the last 15 years is bigger than the rest. And as our team is expanding and growing, I'm finding that we've got some of this stuff creeping in. So today, I am cutting the head off of this snake. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We're gonna fix this right now.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
What's up, guys? How we doing? Good. Thanks for letting me interrupt. You guys all have a good weekend?
Yes.
Good. Hey, so what I wanted to do today is I wanted to have a little conversation with our team here, customer service. By the way, who here thinks customer service is important?
Yeah.
But who's in charge of customer service? You think Denise is in charge of customer service?
We all are in charge of customer service.
We're all in charge. Wait, what do you mean we're all in charge of it?
Because we all have a role in the business.
We all have a role in customer service, and we're all. By the way, how many of you deal with clients? So, by the way, every single one of us is customer service. What does customer service actually mean, though?
Support.
It means support,
Respect.
respect,
Building a brand.
building a brand.
Positively interacting with people who need something from us.
All right,
Connecting,
connecting,
interacting.
And by the way, there's different philosophies on what you want your service to look like, right? I mean, there are famous like companies like Zappos out there and others that are known for like what they do in the customer service world and industry. And the question is, what is our philosophy and what's our approach? And this is a big conversation, but what I wanted to do today is I actually wanted to talk about number one problem I've seen and observed in the last 15 years when it comes to customers. Because by the way, do customers always do everything they're supposed to?
No.
When they have a problem, it's usually one of two things. Either they have a personal problem or they have a problem with the company. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so, by the way, that's kind of growing pains. That's going to happen no matter what. So the question is, what do we think about that and what do we want to do with it? If you have a customer that has a problem, how should we address it? What's the best way?
As quickly as possible.
As quickly as possible, so speed. What else?
Calmly and kindly.
Calm and kindly. What else?
We have to really listen to what their problem is.
You got to be a good
And
listener.
understand and reiterate.
Okay.
Get clarity on what the problem is.
So you got to fully understand what's concerning for them.
I
Right.
think with customer service, it's not about the solution, it's how the solution arrives. With a lot of times, people's experience with a product, service, a brand, you name it, isn't mechanically about what has or has not been delivered. It's about how they feel.
Yes. By the way, there's validity to everything that you're sharing here. The number one problem that I have found in customer service has nothing to do with customers or even customers with problems. Do you know where the problem really emanates first? Our perception as a team. What do we actually believe the problem is? How many of you have ever dealt with a difficult client and then it kind of became the talk of the team and it kind of became part of the gossip train? How many of you have ever had this happen before? Yeah. Well, guys, it's natural, right? I mean, if you're working with someone and they're terribly irritated and it's like, and you think that they're being totally unreal about something, then before you know it, it's like, you won't believe the phone call I just had. And then it gets on the gossip train and then it becomes kind of a thing. And one of the things, most of you don't know this. I think there's only one person in the room that actually knows this. But years ago, we actually had a person that had been a long-standing member of the team that isn't here with us anymore. And there's one predominant reason why that one individual is not here. They were incredibly competent. They were actually gifted. They were really good at what they did. But the one thing that they led out with is they led the gossip train. And it could not be stopped. So if something bad happened, everyone was going to know about it. And by the way, when we talk about dealing with a difficult customer, what happens to energy?
Goes down.
Up or down?
Down.
Does your energy go up or down?
Down.
But that's not the bad part. The bad part is what happens when you actually have to talk to that person again.
You already don't want it.
You don't want to. You're already in a bad mood. What else happens?
You've made assumptions about them that aren't necessarily true.
You've made assumptions about them that aren't necessarily
You
true.
feel like it might go the same way.
Now you've created an expectation. You were hard then, you're going to be hard today, and you're going to be hard tomorrow. So you're going to be difficult. The reality is that when people are going to have different recollections of their perception, problems will arise and they need to get resolved. But my personal experience is that if a team comes together and unifies in how we want to feel about clients that are struggling or having a difficulty, we can create an altogether different experience. How could we change it? What would we have to change internally if we wanted to change the gossip train, the negativity, and having it kind of pass around and becoming the next thing that gets talked about? Bringing everyone's energy down, and then, by the way, when you do have to talk to that client again, are you more excited or less excited?
Normally less excited, but that shouldn't change you should keep your mindset very positive because your job is to fulfill and to make a good experience for them.
Yeah.
So,
And by the way, sometimes genuinely we have clients that we don't want to have as clients. Sometimes we just want to give their money back and say, we are not a fit. I don't know how you made it through the, through the corral gates, but you were supposed to get. You know what I mean? Let's unwind this thing, right? You made it through the gauntlet and you weren't supposed to. But once we have someone, we have the responsibility. This is what I want to ask you is I've noticed that we've got an amazing team, often incredibly positive about our clients. We have a lot of clients. My question is, what can we do as a team regarding gossip so that we get more and more energized about clients or create awareness for people that have issues, and we basically turn it into like a positive thing instead of like the negative thing? How do we do that?
I would think the first thing is trying to find out what the problem is and find a way to make it so it doesn't happen again. Because most time clients have come to an obstruction and it's frustrated them, whether it's a website or a phone call or an email or something that they disliked. We need to identify what it is that caused them.
So first and foremost, if there is a reoccurring pattern, by the way, if there is a reoccurring pattern and multiple people are having the same problem, whose problem is this? Is this a personality problem with the client, or is this a company problem?
Company.
How come it's a company problem?
It's reoccurring.
It's reoccurring. So you have to correct reoccurring problems. I agree. What else?
Improve the product instead of, it's not enough to just correct it. You have to improve it and make it actually work.
So even take a weakness and turn it into a
Strength.
Okay, so you get ahead of the curve. So weakness is the strength. Love that. What else?
So in my experience, what I try to do with it is I want to turn it around.
Okay.
Maybe something wasn't captured. Maybe something was, miscommunicated. Maybe they misunderstood. There's got to be something there. And so my job is to try to analyze it and make it something positive and turn it around.
And I think part of that, so I do think attitude is part of it. How do we want to feel as a team about working with someone that has a problem? And let me break it up into two scenarios. If we're dealing with someone who has a problem that we created, how should we feel about it? We want to take ownership and say, what can we do to what? No, because all they're doing is they're actually the voice. They're our teacher in that moment. They're saying, you guys need to align your expectations with your reality. And right now there's the disparagement. So I totally agree. If someone has a problem and it's reoccurring, I'm stopping and I'm saying, how did I create this? And I'm not going to throw them under the bus. If I felt like someone needed to be thrown under the bus, who would I throw under the bus?
You.
I would just look internally and be like, how do we correct this? Because I'm not going to blame them for having this issue. So that's cool. What do you do though when you're dealing with a difficult client that has what we might call a personality disorder or conflict, or like we just don't see eye to eye, right? Accuracy has been communicated and they become angry or belligerent. Like, what do you do when you have a difficult client? What do we want our team's philosophy to be then?
I think that's the complexity of the client, and I personally have to get feedback about how to deal. So I'll often go and talk to a team member and say, I just met this, or I might introduce them prior to actually getting feedback from them, so they're aware of who the person is. But then I want to know, hey, this is what's going on with this guy. What do you think? And then you're bouncing it back.
And I think that you can lead a productive conversation or an unproductive conversation. Like, you can actually be talking for the sake of actually digging up drama, or the intention of the conversation can be to find a solution or resolve the drama. And I think that's one of the important pieces. Guys, we can't keep quiet. If someone has an issue, it needs to be talked about. The question is, how do you do it productively?
Yeah, I think if you collaborate with each other, there's no problem there. It's when you communicate with a team member about a client and it's negative and it drags you down, that's how you know you've crossed the line from let's dig up a solution versus let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
So collaborate with each other. Hey, I've had this issue and I know it's nothing to do with the company, but this person approached me this way. How do I go about approaching them that would be a positive way?
So it's always a solution-oriented mindset. And it's always saying, if we're going to talk about the hard things or the difficult things, we're doing it in an energy that says, how do we address this? How do we improve this? How do we make it better?
Yeah.
Totally. What were you saying, Denise?
I was going to say that if I'm not able to resolve the problem with everything I know, sometimes I give them the opportunity to tell me, how can I actually help you? What do you feel that would satisfy the solution? Do you need me to contact someone above me? And if that's the case, then I'm more than happy to do that. Sometimes I don't know what they need, and so I have to ask, what do you need to feel like this is resolved? And by doing so, I give them the opportunity to know that we're working as a team. I'm not working against you, I'm working here for you.
So I love that. I'm writing down collaborate, which means if you feel like you can't solve it on your own, then get some additional help from the team. Someone brought something up earlier that Derek said that I really liked, which is speed. By the way, if someone has a misperception or if there was a miscommunication or a missed expectation, then how important is speed? Or what if you get on the phone to resolve it and you can tell it's still not resolved? Is it resolved?
No.
No, but we could just wait for it to boil over again, right?
No.
So, for me, you collaborate, you go for speed, and then I think the third one that's really key is you work towards a solution until you feel or hear from them specifically. You could even ask, does this resolve your concern? And our personal philosophy here is guys white glove, which is how do we go above and beyond? How do we excel in doing that? How do we not just correct and meet the expectation? How do we actually show that we're a team that really loves and cares and goes beyond? And that's what I love about the people around this table. That's what I actually love very much about who you are, is because everyone here is a good soul, pure soul that wants to do right by people. And so I think that's really important. Where I think that we as a team should focus on improving, the reality is, guys, I think we do an incredible job representing our clients. I feel like we do an incredible job internally in how we talk about them as well. How many of you also know that once in a while we have a couple of special cases and then it gets a little bit on the train a little bit, right? And when that happens, my only invitation is to say, hey, if we talk about it negatively, by the way, I'm guilty of this. I've done this before. I've noticed that when I do poke fun at it or make it lighthearted or share, you can't believe how incredulous this was, but it never improves my energy. It never gives life energy for us. It never makes me feel better, and it never gets me more excited to deal with the client. Actually, the opposite. It makes it more horrendous. It makes it more difficult, and it makes it more challenging. And so years ago, we made a very tough, difficult decision, and we lost a member of our team because it was just happening too much. I feel fortunate for the team we have today. I think today's conversation is really just a super important reminder that we just say, hey, let's help each other, that if we ever have a difficult client, difficult circumstance, we always first say, how do we take responsibility? Is this a pattern? Is this something we created? And if not, collaborate. Like, what is the best solution? How do we help this person? And how do we get to the point where we have verified that we have in fact created a real solution and nothing short of that? And I think that's something that will solve, I think, one of the biggest issues in all customer service, which is just our philosophy and how we feel as a team about difficult situations, circumstances, or people. Does that make sense? Yeah. Awesome. So what's one action item we can walk away with here as a group? What's one commitment we can walk away with as a group to just step it up on this side of the game? What do you think?
I think we should connect. The partners are going to react different to different people. If they feel connected and heard and understood, and I've had these conversations recently where something was unclear, and just that conversation and giving them time, they feel connected, understood, heard, and validated, then I think that's great. And if, like you said, Luke, if we collaborate, and like Denny said, if we offer them further solutions and clarify, like you said, is there anything else that I can do to help you? I think that would be great.
Yeah, and I think the key there is, you said it, you spoke with them. Email won't correct it. I sometimes use text to correct things. It's hardly effective. But the only way to really verify is to really get to a real connection with someone. To care enough about saying, hey, I'm giving you time because you need that time. Let's work through this together. Let's figure it out, and let's level up the game. I think that's a great. How many of you think we can all agree to doing that? Help each other out with that? And by the way, if you got a difficult one, then ask for help. That's what we're all here to figure out how to do together. So Thank you guys so much for being here for the training. Appreciate it. And we're going to rock this out to the next level. Thanks, guys. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope that it shed light and brought the solution home for you. I mean, the cancer starts from within, not from without. And it's not about your clients, it's about how you react to your clients and what you think about them. So correct the thinking about them, and then guess what? It doesn't matter how many problems you get, your team will be literally ready to handle that like pros. Listen, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, make sure you take care of that. This channel is fully dedicated to helping you build wealth, certainty, success, achievement in your life and in your business. You're gonna find more of that here. Make sure that you smash that like button. It also tells the YouTube algorithm to share this video with other people. Take care, we'll see you on the next video.